So what was the first big risk you took in your professional career?
Before crypto, I was in the oil and gas and energy sector, and I studied NeosLegal to work with crypto founders. I left it because I wanted to do something fun, something entrepreneurial. I wanted to take a risk to see if that risk will be rewarding, and it turned out to be yes. And those people who called me crazy, they're calling me now saying, how lucky I got. If you work 24/7 for 10 years, eventually your peers will call you and call you lucky. That's how it is.
Is Dubai the obvious choice in 2026?
I genuinely love what leadership of Dubai, of the UAE, is doing for the nationals and the residents. I genuinely think it is the right business model.
1 billion dirham AED fine. Can you talk to us about that?
Consequences for that: fines, even referral to a prosecution.
Hello, I'm Kieran O'Connor and welcome back to the Calculated Risks podcast. Today, for episode 6, I am joined by Irina Heaver. Irina is the UAE's crypto lawyer and the founder of NeosLegal. Irina, thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
I've been looking forward to this one since we met at the Blockchain Live Forum. We did a short interview there and I learned loads, so I've been looking forward to this.
Thank you. Delighted to always share, delighted to talk about things I love, crypto laws.
Before we get onto the crypto stuff, the exciting stuff about out here in the UAE, I want to understand a bit more about you. So my first question is always about risk. So what was the first big risk you took in your professional career and how did it play out?
Back in 2016, I was regional general counsel for the largest shipping group in the world. We did 80 billion turnover a year. It was called Maersk. You probably see those containers everywhere you go around the world. So I left the corporate career because I just couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't sit in the boardroom and listen to another, 3-hour assessment of what we need to meet next week about. And I studied NeosLegal to work with crypto founders. Back then, we had quite a few interesting mining projects moving to the UAE because electricity was virtually free back then. So, and that's how it's all started. My colleagues and my peers back at the time thought I'm having a middle-life crisis. I was a little bit too young for a middle-life crisis. They thought I'm having a mental breakdown or whatever that was. But now, 10 years later, crypto is a legitimate economy. Crypto and Web3 is a huge focus for the UAE government and for Dubai government. We have a dedicated virtual regulator. We had a dedicated set of laws, and we have so many laws that I had to, write a book just to explain it to the founders in simple language. And those people who called me crazy and asked me if I'm having a mental breakdown, they're calling me now saying, how lucky I got, just completely by accident, If you work 24/7 for 10 years, eventually your peers will call you and call you lucky. That's how it is.
The harder you work, the luckier you get. So
absolutely.
So I want to come back onto that actually about the general counsel leaving. But the second question is always around now, 10 years on of doing your own thing, NeosLegal. What's your risk tolerance like now?
It's unlimited, right? Because what's there we're risking? Nothing really. Running a business in the Web3 space, in the crypto space, that's the epitome of risk-taking. So the risk-taking appetite is unlimited. There's nothing that I would not do, that I would not try. What's the worst can happen? You just get luckier.
I think out here in the UAE, they do encourage risk-taking. They do encourage hard work and people to seize opportunities. Would you agree?
It is definitely rewarding. So, and the structure rewards those who work hard, who are intelligent, who take the risks, who start their businesses, and not only the economical structure, but also tax structure. So if you're an entrepreneur in the UK somewhere and you're taxed to death, so the whole structure does not encourage you to take the risk and to be a founder. Whereas, or in Europe somewhere where they regulate you to death, to you going out of business. So the UAE is completely different. So the whole structure, the economic structure, the cultural structure, and also it is quite fashionable to be a founder as well. People look up to you. People are like, oh, wow, that's cool. You're starting something new. You're doing something fantastic. Good on you. Your friends, your family, they cheer on you. Or maybe I just have so many supporting friends and families, but that is my experience. People cheer for you. People want you to succeed. I want people to succeed. I want as many founders to succeed. I want as many entrepreneurs to succeed, because think about it. More people move to Dubai, more people succeed, more people bring economic opportunities, more people hire more individuals. We all rise together, and that I don't see that, especially in the Web3 and crypto space. The pie is so huge. I don't worry about somebody else getting a client or doing something fantastic. On the contrary, I cheer for them. I want them to be as successful as possible, because the pie is so huge. There's plenty to go, and the more successful people we have, the bigger the pie grows. It's like a football field, right? You cannot just stand there with one ball and, kick it to yourself. You need as many players as possible, or you would like to have as many players as possible, because that becomes fun. And that's what I've been seeing in Dubai. I've been in Dubai now, 18 years. And this is what I see. The more our ecosystem grows, the more opportunities grow for everybody.
I want to come on to that point. About 18 years here in Dubai. Lots of people know you now through your hard work as, UAE's crypto lawyer. You've been here for some time, built up a great client base and followings on socials. But what about before Dubai? Just tell me, how was life before Dubai?
I just graduated. I had a few jobs working in the oil and gas industry. And I was, so there was not much before Dubai. I mean, I've been here 18 years. So before that, I studied. So there wasn't much before Dubai. Before crypto, I was in the oil and gas and energy sector. And for quite a while. And I left it because I wanted to do something fun, something entrepreneurial. I wanted to take a risk to see if that risk will be rewarding. And it turned out to be yes.
Well, the UAE and Dubai specifically has changed a lot over the last 18 years. We were speaking about that off camera. But how did you know you wanted to move to UAE specifically 18 years ago? What drew you into this place?
Oh, that was very easy. I was an energy attorney. I was working in Australia, in Melbourne, as an energy attorney, and I got headhunted to come to work for national oil company, and they were building projects in Central Asia, and I happened to speak a couple of Central Asian languages, so they wanted a Western oil and gas attorney with experience in Central Asia and who speaks the languages, and I must have ticked some boxes in the recruitment software, and I got headhunted, and I came here during the biggest financial crisis in 2008.
Well done to that headhunter, because that is a very niche search to hit all those criteria. So well done, whoever that is, well done. So the oil and gas industry, so that would be what maybe people think is more traditional law, especially compared to crypto and Web3 space. So how did you identify that crypto was legitimate 10 years ago? What was the trigger point that thought, I want to move into this industry?
So thanks to my oil and gas job, I was with Maersk and we ran the first blockchain project in 2014. And if you go to university to study masters in blockchain, there's a few universities that run it. This is the one of the first case studies you study. The project was called Hyperlands, and you basically, we took a container from Mombasa, Kenya, loaded up with flowers, and we shipped it to Amsterdam, and the whole shipping took place on blockchain, meaning that, so if you know a little bit about shipping, or you ever shipped your goods from home to relocate to Dubai, you would know the amount of paperwork involved. There are more than 400 pieces of paper you need to have per shipment. So when that container moved, and because it's also contained agricultural goods and live flowers, there were even more paperwork. So in that journey, we saved something like 450 pieces of papers to be stamped. So the journey was much more smoother. And if you know a little bit about logistics industry, you know how thin the margins are. And imagine within those margins, you have to pay somebody who would go 450 times to stamp a piece of paper. So those margins actually increased. And that was the first project where a multinational company, an industrial company, put something on blockchain to see, can we use this technology to improve efficiency, to improve transparency, to track something faster, to save on pieces of paperwork we have to sign or stamp? And the answer was yes. So in 2000, that was 2014, 2015, that project is not live anymore for a very good reason. It was not done on blockchain. It was done on Hyperledger, which is not a blockchain, it's an Excel spreadsheet. So, but IBM consultants sold it to us for millions and millions and millions of dollars that it is a blockchain. It's not. Let's just be clear there. It's permissioned. It's not distributed enough, and it's basically a fancy Excel spreadsheet amongst a few parties. And those projects will not succeed. Which projects succeed? Look at Bitcoin, permissionless, absolutely open to everybody. It's borderless. It's everybody can participate. So all of the features of open blockchain, such as Bitcoin, closed blockchain or permission blockchain such as Hyperledger don't have. That's why they all will. There's a very obvious track record of them not succeeding at all. So but I learned about Bitcoin way before that, but that kind of clicked. Here's Bitcoin. There's blockchain technology. In 2017, I got really involved with smart contracts, thinking that a smart contract will replace every lawyer, every accountant, every intermediary, every banker. Just name it. We're all going to be replaced. And look at us, 10 years later, we're still here. So that was my aha moment in the summer of 2016, that this technology is actually the future. And coming from the oil and gas industry, we have the largest number of PhDs than in any other industry except for military, because the more money you spend on the research, on the development, on technology, the more oil you can extract and the more you can sell it. And oil is a very precious commodity. It's a very, very good revenue generating commodity, so to speak. So back in 2002, we already had autonomous drones crawling on the seabed, connecting pipelines. We had scatter platforms that we were trying to protect, cybersecurity protect from hackers from certain parts of the world. So oil and gas industry is very heavy on tech. So I was always very heavy on tech. I learned JavaScript when I was still at the university because I wanted to automate some silly research tasks that I didn't want to do. So so what was the question?
I was just listening. I was listening so much. How did you spot crypto on blockchain? And I think you just said that you noticed that one project in 2015 opened your eyes to the blockchain, and that didn't work. And you're talking about the beds.
No, it didn't work just now. It didn't work like 2 years ago. They shut down. So back then we all thought it was the thing. So I was absolutely convinced that Bitcoin and anything that we can build on blockchain technology, whether it's smart contracts or anything else, I was convinced that was the future. I was absolutely convinced. And one of the reasons I was born in a country that collapsed. The government took every penny away from my family, from my parents. They had to run for their lives. Not just them, but quite large populations suffered. And my family are engineers. PhDs in petroleum engineering, PhD in mechanical engineering, so very, very smart, very educated engineers. And then one day they wake up and they don't have even like 1 cent to feed their kids, right? So that was quite a traumatic experience. So when you're in that situation where the government takes everything from your family that they ever owned, and then you learn about Bitcoin, something that cannot be confiscated, something that cannot be taken away from you, something that is yours. It's truly yours. There's no counterparty risk. The dollars that you hold in a bank account has a counterparty risk, be it the US government or be it the bank. The pounds that you hold in your pockets have even probably larger counterparty risk with the UK government going how it's going, right? Look at citizens in Turkey with thousands of percent of annual inflation. And then you learn about Bitcoin. It has no counterparty risk. Yes, the technology risk in the early days was very high, but now we don't have that anymore. So, and government cannot confiscate that from you. Government cannot inflate it into nothing. You cannot wake up in the morning and, some politician decided that your country doesn't exist anymore and your family have to, run for their lives with nothing because, whatever they had was at home. And so, when you learn about Bitcoin, taking those experiences into account, you go, yeah, of course, that works. And then you learn about applications of blockchain technology in other areas. And it's like, okay, that's even better. That's fantastic. And then 2016, what you do is you decide that that's all I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to support Bitcoiners. I want to support people building the new economy. I want to support people decentralizing the finances. And remember, when was it? I don't know, 18th century or 19th century, when the religion got separated from the state, because you have your religious beliefs, you believe what you believe, but whatever the government, the way the government runs the nation cannot be imposed by religious by a religious belief. So the church and the state got separated. And I truly believe that the money and the state need to be separated, because if we have free money, we don't have the corruption, and we have free money running the free economy, we will have less wars. I don't want to have all these wars that are happening in Europe. It's completely ridiculous and nonsense. But if we have honest money, there will be no way for dishonest governments to fund those wars, because they would literally have to spend their own money. And who wants to do that? Nobody wants to do that. So what they're doing, they're printing money into the oblivion. An average grandma and an average citizen who are against the war are literally paying for it from their own money. And that's not the way to continue.
That sounded like a really tough situation with your family. For people that don't know, what country was that?
Soviet Union.
Yeah. It's interesting now you think back, that happened, and then you got introduced to Bitcoin and blockchain at the right time, and then it all added up for you as the right next step. It's interesting.
It all works out at the end, and if it doesn't work out, that's not the end.
Yeah. Well, for you, being involved in the industry back in 2017, that is before early adopters, right? 2016. So for most people, the average day person, right, who isn't involved in technology, crypto, blockchain, and Web3 is still very, very new to them. Like your first year in business, how early were you? Were you needing to educate people about this, or, how was it?
I spent a lot of time educating people, and then so I ran my first Bitcoin meetup in Dubai in 2014. I invited all my oil and gas friends. One guy showed up, told me, Irina, you have a doctorate degree and you're promoting some money used by bad people, and what's wrong with you? He rolled his eyes and he left. And then in 2017 I ran there was so I had no more Bitcoin meetups, and then in 2017 I had another meetup, and there were about 300 people came, and there was no room in the venue. We did it with the Dubai Future Foundation. We did it at their venue. People were standing. There were standing places only. We were talking about smart contracts. We were talking about Ethereum, discussing what technology is all about. And if you remember, in 2017, Bitcoin and Ethereum were hitting all-time highs, and everybody became super, super interested, right? And that's normal. If something is hitting all-time highs, it's hitting the news, then individuals are more interested in it.
And it's been a long journey since then, right? Nearly 10 years now of NeosLegal.
Every day, it's we're having fun every day, so it doesn't feel like a long journey. It feels like a very exciting hobby.
And your industry changes in months, not years.
Weeks.
Weeks.
Yeah. We, as a lawyer in the crypto space, here in the UAE, we don't have the privilege of advance notice of any changes coming. We kind of read them just like you would read it. Of course, we're doing a lot of work lobbying the regulators for good, permissive, but good regulations. But regulators are very active in this space, especially considering that we have 5. In the UK, you have 1 FCA. We have 5 in the UAE. So every regulator is rather active, and some took even more proactive roles, such as ADGM, for example. They issued crypto regulations in 2018, the first ones in the world. Even FINMA, I think Switzerland was a few months later. So yes, so we don't have the privilege of advance notice, which makes it even more fun.
I got so many questions about the regulations, the fines, the risks, but I guess I want to find out first, NeosLegal, like how do you sell the business to people? Like, who's the ideal customer? For anyone watching this thinks, we might be moving into the space, perhaps we're looking for a new, who do you work with and what do you do?
Yeah, so it's a founder who is looking to move to the UAE, who is looking to start a business in the crypto space. Why UAE? We are the largest crypto hub. We have the most certain regulations. If in Europe they're still arguing about things, in the US there's one president says one thing, another president says another thing. In the UAE, we don't have that. We have certain regulations, we have certainty. Switzerland is fantastic as well for crypto founders, but if you don't have a Swiss nationality, I mean, good luck moving to to Switzerland. Good luck moving to Switzerland. However, if you were to move to Dubai, as you know yourself, takes 3 to 7 days to get a work permit and a residence ID, and then you can rent a place, get a house, get a car, send your kids to school, and off to the races you go. The founders are here, the huge community is here, the regulators are here, and the venture capitalists are here. Like, what else do you need? So my ideal customer is somebody who wants to grow their Web3 and crypto business and use UAE as a launchpad to reach 4 billion people global south.
You mentioned that Dubai is the biggest crypto hub now. What do What are Dubai doing different to Switzerland, Singapore, Hong Kong?
A lot of things, and it didn't start just yesterday. So it started, I would think, 1979, when they had an idea of economic free zones. So the first economic free zone was Javza, opened in the early 80s, and we talk about it in the book. So what is the economic free zone? Where the founders, business people from all over the world, were encouraged to come and set up their businesses that are tax-free, that are under a special economic zone rules, meaning you can own 100% of your business. Just 3 years ago, you could not own 100% of your business as a foreigner. You had to have a 51% partner who is an Emirati, and the economic free zones were created to remove that requirement for foreigners. Because imagine you're coming here and starting your business and you have to give 51% to somebody you probably don't know very well, that will be, you would hesitate. So the economic free zone was created in order to allow foreigners to create their businesses under the economic free zone rules, not under the general legislation of the country. And it became so popular that now we have, 45 economic free zones, and the economic free zone model that was created by His Excellency Bin Sulayem, called Javza, is now copied across the world. And so for me, that was when the mentality shift happened. Let's have the businesses, let's have the entrepreneurs, let's have the founders here. Because what happens? You create businesses, you create economic opportunities, you create jobs, and the more jobs you create, more people will create businesses. Like, it's fantastic for everyone. Then the financial free zone, DIFC, was created in 2012 because UAE, or Dubai in particular, said, let's bring financial businesses, let's bring the banks, let's bring insurance companies, let's bring let's have the businesses that are in the city in London to create their subsidiaries here. And it became so successful that those businesses are now fully relocating their headquarters here instead of having subsidiaries. And the DIFC free zone was created under UK, under English common law, which is the most known, the most understood, and most certain one. And also, if you're an expat, if you're a foreign business moving here, wouldn't you want to create your business under the English laws? Because first of all, you would understand that. Secondly, the arbitration can be carried out. There were common English courts were created. So that was proven to be a very, very successful business model. And a lot of banks moved in. Then what happened? Technology, right? In the 2017, fintech was all the
rage.
All the rage, thank you. And what's the next step from fintech? Crypto. So it's a journey from 1979 all the way through economic free zones, financial free zones, the financial business, the technology businesses, and then the Web3 and AI. And it's a logical progression. It took a while, but what we see through this journey is that UAE has always had the same policy. We want businesses, we want founders, we want technology, we want to be as accommodating for everybody as possible. Unlike other governments, a new government comes, they change their policy. Today you're welcome, tomorrow you're not welcome. Let's pass the taxes, let's increase the taxes. So this flip-flopping doesn't work if you're looking to establish a business. You want certainty. And that's what the UAE and Dubai provides. Welcoming environment, good economic laws, good entrepreneurship laws, and the government and the leadership that has the history of supporting businesses and supporting entrepreneurship.
That's really interesting. And from what you said, it sounds like the UAE is getting a lot of things right. You also mentioned Switzerland. It's very hard to move and become a resident in Switzerland. It's very difficult. I know this from in Singapore, because I've just come back from Singapore to become a permanent resident there and set up a business. So if someone either is a founder, early stages, or maybe wants to become a founder in Web3 space, is Dubai the obvious choice in 2026?
Of course, I'm slightly biased. I've been here for 18 years. It's my home. I genuinely love Dubai. I genuinely love what leadership of Dubai, of the UAE, is doing for the nationals and the residents. I genuinely love how safe the streets are. I genuinely love that you can open a business in 3 days, that you can get a residency card in 3 days. I genuinely think it is the right business model. But of course, I'm biased. I've been here. This is, I'm not a spokesperson for the UAE Ministry of Economy or Department of Economy, although I should be. I relocated half of Switzerland and half of Malta here, and now relocating half of Europe to the UAE. I'm not. So Dubai is the center, right? But we have Abu Dhabi, very successful hub. We have a very successful hub in Ras Al Khaimah. So the UAE for me is the country, right? So I would say it is number one crypto hub and number one place for founders to be. In the 17th century, UK was that place where the Industrial Revolution was taking place. In 16th century, there was probably Portugal. They were the seafaring nation conquering everything. In the 19th century, that would have been New York with the financial center establishing and with all the opportunities establishing. And in 2026, in this century, that is UAE for me. So if you're a young man or woman and you're looking to make a name for yourself, UAE is the place. You have to work hard. You have to do a lot of sacrifices. There's no mummy here that will come and rescue you, right? Because you have to kind of move the countries. But if you work hard, if you're smart and you persevere, And you also ignore the noise, we've got so many scammers that are basically driving a Bugatti, or I don't know, what can you drive? What's the most expensive car? I don't know.
Rolls Royce, something like that.
Driving a Bentley and wearing, the best things. All of this is not real. So if you ignore that noise, if you don't think why is everybody so successful and look at me, I'm wearing, I don't know, just Amazon shoes, which I am. If you ignore that, keeping up with the Joneses, and you focus on working and you focus on doing something great for the country, for the community, and for the people who are here, then you would be very, very successful.
It's a really good point about ignoring the noise, because the noise is everywhere. And I've spoken to many people who come here and rightly or wrongly get sucked into the noise and the lifestyle, and it only goes one way.
You can really get sucked into this fake lifestyle, and it is fake. Don't believe anything you see on Instagram. I know these people who are hiring a jet for half an hour, take 600 selfies in different outfits, and then post throughout the year of them flying to St. Moritz. They're not there. They're here in this 1 hour rented jet. So focus, put your head down, focus on what you're doing. Like, don't bother what everybody else is doing.
Just before we come on to like the regulation side of things and the changes and the real knowledgeable stuff for early stage founders to set up the right way, you mentioned scams. Rightly or wrongly, a lot of people think that Dubai is ripe for that, and it's probably no different to anywhere else. There's scams everywhere in the world. But I mean, how can people be more aware of Web3 and crypto scams? Like, how do you identify and spot these as potential hazards?
So this is a new industry. Crypto and Web3 is a new industry. And any new industry attracts tourists. Every new industry attracts visionaries. And every new industry attracts bad people and good people. So the bad people discovered the crypto and Web3 industry, thinking it's an easy way to make a buck, and it can be. It can be. You launch a token, some silly meme coin, and then you dump it on your subscribers, or you dump it on your followers, and off to the races you go. Right. So basically, anything that promises returns, anything that promises, free cheese, anything that promises a lot of success within very, very short time, don't believe that. Also, don't believe, there's a lot of social engineering scams as well. So if somebody calls you and they pretend to be from the central bank and your banks are frozen, come on, would central bank be calling you from a mobile number? Of course not. Just use the brain cells that you have. Or if CZ is writing you on Telegram saying, oh, here's a fantastic opportunity to make 600x, think about it. Would CZ be writing you? Probably not. Definitely not. On the scale of things, I'm quite a small personality in the crypto space, but I already have, hundreds and hundreds of impersonators on social media. And honestly, I would not be reaching out, trying to sell anything to anybody, an investment opportunity, a mining, cloud mining opportunity. I'd rather go and sit by the pool and enjoy sunshine, right? So don't believe when something sounds a little bit too good to be true. It is. It's a scammer who is trying to basically part you with your hard-earned cash. So don't be stupid.
I think that's the obvious one, isn't it? When the returns are just outsized and they're very, very quick, like make X amount of money in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Crypto investing is long-term, right? You've got to look at it through that lens.
Just think about, if I reach out to you and ask you to transfer $5,000 to me, would you do that? No.
Me personally, no. I'm aware of that stuff, but I know some people fall victim to it.
But imagine I reach out to you and ask you for $5,000. Would you transfer it to me? No, because that's your hard-earned money. Crypto is the same. Treat it as your hard-earned money. And if somebody asks, 2 Ethereum from you, just don't send it to them. Treat it as the same as the money in your bank account. And if anybody's reaching out to you asking for your money, just say no. if you are honestly looking to invest, if you're honestly looking to multiply your capital, you need to make an effort, go and research. Where do I allocate my capital? Who do I give it to? What do I invest in? But if somebody just emails you, I have this fantastic opportunity, 100%, it is not the case. So just use common sense. And a lot of people fall for that, but that's how you learn a lesson. And some lessons are more expensive than others in life. So, if you fell a victim of a scam, take it as a lesson and thank the universe that that lesson was paid for by money, not by health, not by anything else. Thank the universe, thank God, and move on.
I'm one of those people that has learned all of my lessons very expensively by financial, but I've learned them, and that's the main thing.
Some people learn their lessons by losing their health or losing their loved ones. So count your blessings.
I'm a lucky man.
Thank the universe and move on. Because money you can earn.
It's true. We spoke off camera and you wrote down to me that there's a new legislation or law, and part of that, now I don't want to get it wrong so you can correct me, part of that is up to a 1 billion dirham AED fine. Can you talk to us about that?
So, as I mentioned, UAE has 5 regulators, 2 federal ones, Security and Commodity Authority, UAE Central Bank, VARA, which is the Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority in Dubai, and we have 2 financial free zones, the IFC and IDGM, and each has their own regulator. So, as the federal law states, you cannot run virtual asset businesses without a virtual asset license. And there are consequences for that. Fines, even referral to a prosecution. And also, Central Bank of the UAE just issued their new central bank law that regulates the licenses that central bank issues, some of that in relation to payment tokens, as what we call stable coins, some of that in relation to issuance of the AD-backed stable coins. And some of the breach, and also, of course, banking activity, insurance activity. If you want to open a bank, that's the law you read. And UAE Central Bank is the regulator you go to get your license from. So, and as part of that, there are, if you breach that law, there are very heavy provisions, very heavy penalty provisions, referral to prosecutor, basically, you going to prison for your wrongdoings. But also there are several fines for several breaches. And the highest fine is 1 billion dirhams. And some might say it's draconian. Some might say don't break the law. It's very easy. Don't run a bank without a banking license. Don't run a crypto payment gateway without the correct licensing. Whether you agree with the approach or not, the UAE regulators are here to regulate the industry, to protect the consumers, and also to protect the people who have their licensing already. Imagine it took you 2 years to get your crypto exchange license. You spend millions on the compliance function, you're doing everything by the book, and then some guy just sets up across the road from your office and runs unlicensed crypto exchange operations. First of all, he's risking the capital of the consumers, and if he goes bust, which he will, the whole industry will suffer. Your exchange will suffer because the UAE exchange went bust, right? This is what we don't want. We don't want rogue players. We don't want cowboys. We want the industry to be regulated and secure for the country economy and also for the growth of the industry.
Something you mentioned before was about the pump and dump of the tokenization coins. And I wonder, is there any specific laws around doing that method where you will financially gain from that, or is it just frowned upon?
So the pump and dumps or wash trading is illegal under the trading rules and the market transparency rules. It's in the rule book of every regulator, ADGMs, VARAs, ESCAs. So if you're doing pump and dumps, if you're doing wash trading, that is not frowned upon. That is illegal under the trading rules. However, if it is a utility token and you issued your utility token out of, I don't know, Coconut Island somewhere, and you're carrying out the pumps and dumps, what can the UAE regulator do? Not much, unless a huge community of, let's say, UAE investors are affected in some way. But the industry is rife with pumps and dumps, so you have to watch out. That's why I'm not big on altcoins, especially the new adventurous ones. So again, you have to do your due diligence, you have to do your research, do your homework. So treat everything as a scam. And if you treat everything as a scam and then somebody has to work hard to prove to you that it is not a scam, then, consider that opportunity.
You mentioned that you've helped relocate people from Switzerland, Malta. I know many people in my network, both clients and maybe friends from the UK, what's going on, are looking at UAE or the Middle East, even maybe the GCC region. Let's imagine I'm looking to build in the Web3 space, right? Mm-hmm. Day one, coming to the UAE, what do I have to get right? What is the bare minimum I need to be legally set up here to start my business?
Whatever you do not go and open a company. That is probably step number 3 or 4. And that's where founders make the mistakes, costly mistakes that cost them time, resources, and money. And sometimes it takes us a whole year to fix that mistake that they, made within the first 3 days of them landing in Dubai. The first step is regulatory assessment. What are you planning to do? So we mentioned we have 5 regulators. Each regulator has their laws. Some laws have really heavy penalties for breach of these laws. So what's the logical step? Step number 1 is to assess what are you planning to do and under which law do you fall and what are the consequences if you break that law. And if the consequences is not the risk you're planning to tolerate, like going to prison or paying 1 billion dirhams, then don't take that risk. Carry out a regulatory assessment. Understand what are you planning to do. Is it a regulated activity or not? If it is a regulated, who's the regulator? Which are the laws that apply to you? How can you do it legitimately above the board? Because you will be found out. And then, only then, start conversations with the regulators, start conversations with the free zones, assess which free zone is the right for you. If you're a regulated business here in Dubai, I really like DMCC Crypto Center. They have partnership with VARA, which is our regulator, and it's a fantastic community. This free zone is for serious founders. So if you are really serious about growing your business, don't just want a postbox type of company, that's where you would go. Maybe Abu Dhabi is right for you. Maybe ADGM is right for you. Again, common law financial free zones, a little bit more B2B rather than B2C. So make that assessment. Talk to a specialist, Web3 crypto lawyer, Web3 crypto tax individual, Web3 crypto accountant. Understand, build the plan, then execute the plan. Form the company, get Emirates IDs, get employment documents ready for you and your team, and off to the races you go. And if you require VASP licensing for your business, then obtain it from the correct regulator before you start operations.
And how much would all that cost and how long would it take realistically?
Depends what are you doing. You're asking me how much does it cost to build a house? Are you having 1 bedroom or 50 bedrooms? It depends what you're doing.
Just a stereotypical Web3 startup who are building, something on the blockchain, financial services.
So if it's financial services, that's a regulated activity that will take you about a year to get licensed. However, if you're doing However, if you're carrying out unlicensed activities, not because you're doing it illegally, it's just because they are not to be licensed as per those laws that we discussed, it can take 3 days to establish a company and let's say a couple of days to do a reg assessment to make sure that, yes, you're really not carrying out licensed activities. For example, issuing a utility token. You can do that. That's not a regulated activity. Or issuing RWA token. That is not a regulated activity outside of Dubai. So think about all this. What is it are we doing? Is it a regulated activity? Yes or no? How can we get to the market sooner? And then execute. So the costs can be something, if you're looking to establish a company in Ras Al Khaimah, can be around, let's say, $5,000. If you're looking to establish something in Dubai, which will be a little bit more expensive and will take a bit longer to establish a company, let's say a month, and then getting to VASP licensing can take anywhere up to a year, depending what you already have.
And earlier in the conversation, you mentioned that the UAE makes legislation changes and regulation changes relatively quick and quicker compared to maybe like the US or the UK. In all your time that you've been here, like how often are big changes coming into the Web3 space, and what should founders be aware of?
Every quarter. So every quarter I publish a report saying the last quarter our regulators were very busy and here are the changes, and the report is around 5-6 pages. So over the summer, they were very, very productive and a lot of new laws were established. But I think the main bulk of our regulations are already there. We are waiting for a few more sort of sets of laws. The main regulations are already there. I just published 2025 recap and 2026 outlook on UAE crypto laws, and I mentioned that I believe that the main set of the laws have been sort of established. 2026 will be the year of enforcement. This is the year when people will be receiving their fines. This is the year when we will hear some cases of founders being investigated by prosecutors for their not so legitimate activities. So I really believe that 2026 will be the year when UAE regulators will start putting their foot down, because at the moment they're kind of semi-closing their eye on the activities of KOLs, pumping tokens to their followers, shilling tokens to their followers. So, and that is not in line with the UAE crypto marketing laws. So I believe 2026, there will be certain groups of individuals heavily interested, will become very interesting for the regulators.
Talking directly to founders again, you mentioned that one of the mishaps or the wrong first steps is to set up a company straight away rather than checking out the regulators, speaking to someone like you. What are the other common things that founders come to you and say, hey, Irina, we might have messed up here? Like, is it something that is quite consistent?
Oh, yes. Every day, this is what happens, right? It's so it's not because they're bad people or anything. That's just because the human mentality, right? Let's do something and then we figure things down the road. And unfortunately, with the regulated environments, you should not be doing that. So very common mistakes is entering into contractual arrangements with suppliers, with vendors, with dev teams, and not having a contract in place or having not a strong contract in place. But there are quite a few things that founders, for example, working with CSPs instead of lawyers to form your company, or going directly to a free zone and opening your company. So that will not fit your purposes, and then you will have to engage an attorney to restructure. Opening a company takes 3 to 5 days. Restructuring can take up to a year, especially if the founders are abroad, especially if some original documents are required. So you have to, just think twice before you put a signature on a dotted line. Think twice. What can go wrong? And a lot of things go wrong in business. That's the nature of running business. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
I think it's fairly obvious from what you're saying. It should be to most people that speak to the professionals, speak to the specialist, whether it's a lawyer, an accountant, perhaps investors, to find out what the best thing to do is before coming to a country like the UAE.
Sure, and it goes for everything, right? If your tummy hurts, don't try to self-medicate. Go to a doctor. Maybe your kidneys are failing. I don't know. You just it's kind of important. So treat it in a similar way. And of course, I would say that being a lawyer and seeing so many mistakes. And there's a lot of founders will say, look, I've been a founder for 25 years. I haven't seen a lawyer once. Fantastic. Very happy for you. But there are people that open a business and, in 3 days they receive a regulatory notice because there's one of the silliest things that happened last year. Well, literally last year was 1 week ago, right? A CSP, so a company that was opening a company for a crypto founder, filed a disclosure to the regulator saying, oh, my founder will do this and this and this and this. And the regulator said, fantastic, you need a VASP license. Oh, you don't have it. Now we will start investigating you. So first of all, they're not carrying out any regulated activity, so there shouldn't be any disclosure filed. And now they came to us trying to sort this. And of course, we will, lawyers are not cheap, so they will have to foot a really heavy bill because their CSP in their stupidity decided to do that. But they did not know. They thought that that's what they have to do. And there's a lot of people doing silly things, and then the founders have to pay the bill at the end of the day.
Well, considering we're so early into 2026, I know the industry changes by the week, by the quarter especially, but what's the big focus for NeosLegal this year? What specific area of Web3 do you think is going to be your busiest?
RWA tokenization. We have... First of all, we lobbied the Security and Commodity Authority for 2 years to exclude RWAs from the securities laws, and we were very successful in that. There's a new law that came out over the summer that RWA tokens are not securities. That means you can issue RWA tokens, you can list them on exchanges, you can trade them, and nowhere else in the world we have such a certainty. Even in the UAE, in Europe, under MiCA, they have asset-backed reference tokens, and they're still arguing if tokenized gold is this, or is it money, or is it this. Like, complete Europe is a lost cause, unfortunately. So I believe RWA tokenization will be the biggest interest for founders, as well as for the investors, as well as for traditional businesses. While I have this chance, let me give a shout out to RWA Labs. It's not a think tank, it's a do tank that actually does RWA tokenization and works with issuers and making sure that tokens are issued, RWA tokens are issued correctly, in line with the law, that are interesting for the investors, and that can be listed on tier 1 exchanges.
And what about you personally? I know that you do lots of talks, guest appearances, you like to be at the forefront of I guess, media for the industry. What have you got planned personally in terms of events and content like the book?
You need to talk to my marketing team. They told me to be here, say this. I was like, hey, yay, done. So I don't plan my appearances. I don't plan my media. I accept the invitations when I think it will be interesting conversation. But what I do have planned, there's one piece of legislation that I need to have revoked. And that's my plan by the end of the year. This piece of legislation is not in force, but it is damaging to our industry. It's putting a damp on our industry. So my plan is to have that piece of legislation to be pronounced either unconstitutional by courts, or the regulator who issued that piece of legislation to withdraw it themselves. These are the choices. Or say that this clause within this law is revoked. So that's my plan for this year, which is quite a big, ambitious plan. But I believe that is needed to move our Web3 industry forward and to make UAE, to continue reinforcing UAE as the number one technology hub. Because success is something that you have to earn every day. If today you are number one hub, you have to continue being number one hub tomorrow, and you have to continue fighting to be the number one hub the day after tomorrow. So if we relax, if we allow for laws that somehow prevent our industry from moving forward, we need to make an effort to work with the regulators. And we're very fortunate that in the UAE, the regulators work with the industry. We can meet with the regulator, we can sit down with the regulator, discuss. And I advise a number of regulators in the region, not just the UAE. And sometimes I impose myself, even when I'm not asked to advise, such as lobbying the regulators for good, permissive, but strong laws to protect the UAE industry.
And I guess my final question is more around events. Obviously, me and you met at Blockchain Live Forum, which I thought was a great event. And that was the first one I went to in the UAE specifically. But are there any ones that you've either spoken about previously or ones that you've enjoyed going to or want to go to this year that other people might want to visit as well?
Yes, so Token 2049 is absolute a must to attend. Solana Economic Zone, absolutely a must to attend. If you can put the links below this video, that would be great. But events, that's not where magic happens. The side events, that's where the magic happens. We run a lot of side events with industry players, and we invite and pre-screen the attendees. And that's probably the best place. Side events is where to meet a partner, meet an investor, meet a client. So I highly recommend that.
I've learned so much today, and I know anyone else watching this will have learned so much. And it should be fairly obvious where to find you or contact you, but what's the best way to get in contact with you if someone wanted to use your services?
Very easy to find us. Very easy to find me on LinkedIn, Irina Heaver on LinkedIn, or send us an email, hello@neoslegal.co. And my team responds the same day. So we are delighted to support as many founders moving to the UAE as possible. Oh, get the book for free. It's completely free. It's on our website. This is a 2025 edition, but the 2026 edition has been updated. It's available. It's in English. We're now translating it on multiple other languages. So it will be available in Russian by the end of the month. It will be available in Mandarin Chinese by the end of next month. We're trying to reach as many non-native English communities as possible, because I would want you to know what the laws are so you don't break them and you educate yourself. And if you, for example, so early in your stage that you think it's too early for you to engage a lawyer, just read a book. All the answers are there. Don't rely on ChatGPT, please.
Anything but ChatGPT.
That thing hallucinates like crazy.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And that's the end of the podcast with Irina. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did recording it. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in next week's episode.